Hey everyone, thanks for joining today's technical takeoff session. Today, we'll be talking about Microsoft Intune Remote Help. I'm Kara Wong, a product manager at Microsoft Intune. I've broken down this presentation by remote help for the different operating systems, since each platform inherently is different and there's slightly varying experiences for remote help because of that. We'll be looking at remote help and its key features for each of the platforms we support, as well as sharing a demo of what that experience looks like today. Before we dive in, let's take a step back. So where does the need for remote assistance come from? Since the pandemic, we've heard that the number of remote workers have skyrocketed with companies' new flexible work from home policies. With these changing working habits, helping your workers overcome technical barriers is super critical. A remote assistance solution is required to support workers anywhere, improve efficiencies in enabling help desk response to service issues, and mitigating security risks. Therefore, we've developed remote help. So to set some context before we go ahead with the session, remote help is part of the Intune suite, Intune's premium offering that bundles and simplifies customers' endpoint management experiences. Many of my colleagues that are working on other Intune suite products are also giving technical takeoff sessions. We'll first be looking at Windows Remote Help and what that experience looks like. With Windows Remote Help, an organization's help desk is able to connect via a secure, cloud-based solution to users in either a screen sharing or full control session, no matter where they're located, whether that's an unenrolled or enrolled Windows device. With role-based access control, admin can configure different tiers of help desk support with different permissions on who they can help and whether that's a view-only or full control session, and also having the ability to run elevated permissions during its session. The helper is able to launch remote help seamlessly on the helper and user's device from Intune by sending a notification to the user's device. There's strong authentication through Entra ID with profile pictures, company names, titles, and verified domains for both parties upfront before the session connects. Before connecting to a user's device, the helper will be able to see a non-compliance warning about that device and can learn more about why that device is non-compliant in Intune. When needed, a helper with RBAC permissions for elevation can interact with the UAC prompt to resolve any issues that require admin permissions. With conditional access support, admin can set policies and conditions for remote help, such as multi-factor authentication, security updates installed, or locking access to remote help to a specific geographic region. Within Intune, an admin can monitor currently active sessions and view details about past sessions in session reporting, as well as Intune audit logs. So with all these key features, Help Desk is able to resolve issues for users quickly and securely. So now we're going to be going over a demo of what Windows Remote Help looks like. Maya works for Lambda Healthcare Company and is having issues with her device. She called the help desk and Taylor determines that he needs to remote control her device to help troubleshoot. Taylor navigates to Maya's device in Microsoft Intune and then selects New Remote Assistant Session. He selects Remote Help and then Continue. This will send a notification to Maya's device. To ensure that Maya is who she says she is and prevent an attacker from using her credentials to view and access devices in her org, Lambda Healthcare Company has created a conditional access policy that requires strong authentication using multi-factor authentication to use remote help. As Maya signs into remote help, she is prompted to approve the request in her Authenticator app, which allows her access to the remote help app. Maya will click on the notification and this will open remote help on her side. Taylor then opens up remote help from the Intune portal. Taylor sees information about Maya, such as her name, profile picture, job title, and verified domain. He then selects View Screen. Maya then sees similar information about Taylor and that he is asking to see her screen. So then she clicks Allow. When the session begins, Taylor receives a message that Maya's device is not compliant with security policies. This is helpful so Taylor can make a more informed security decision about whether he should access the device or send it to his security team for further assistance. He clicks on OK to proceed. Now, Taylor and Maya are in a connected screen sharing session. Taylor feels that screen share is not adequate enough to troubleshoot the issue on Maya's device, so he would like to switch to a full control session. He then requests a full control session. Maya is notified of this request and clicks on Allow. Now that the session is a full control session, Taylor has local admin rights on Maya's machine and clicks on the button that allows her to interact with the UIC prompt and can enter in credentials as admin to further troubleshoot issues. There's also the laser pointer control and enhanced chat functionality to help further reduce time to mitigation. So let's take a look at Android Remote Help and what that experience is like. Intune provides unified endpoint management for all types of users in every scenario, including frontline workers. Frontline workers are often people that perform customer-facing and task-oriented roles. They frequently use shared or dedicated devices such as Android devices, which are often critical to day-to-day operations. So any technical issues with these devices can cause significant downtime and productivity loss for companies. Frontline workers are also often operating in challenging environments where they may not have access to traditional IT support. Remote Help for Android requires the device to be enrolled in Intune as Android Enterprise Dedicated, also known as Corporate-Owned Single-Use, COSU. It's available on select Samsung and Zebra devices. The key features for Android Remote Help are supporting attended, view-only, and full control sessions, as well as unattended control sessions, which are sessions without a user present. Note that there are different requirements for these attended or unattended sessions. There's also session reporting history that indicates who helped who, when, and on what device. There are non-compliance warnings that alert a helper if the device is out of compliance before they enter a connected session. There is also role-based access control that allows admin to configure who can help whom and with what permissions for view-only, full control, or unattended sessions. We have also integrated with Entra ID to create more trust between the helper and the user. Now we'll be looking at Android Remote Help and a demo for it.
During this demo, we will be using a fictional IT pro persona named Susan. Susan works for Contoso Art Supply, a chain of art supply stores, and she's responsible for overseeing the smooth operation of ruggedized devices that are used by retail associates. So here is Susan's admin console. She's going to go to the Devices tab and go to Android. And we can see that she has two devices here. One is compliant and the other is not compliant. So first, Susan is going to try and start a session for remote help with the non-compliant device. So we'll go ahead and do that. And you'll notice that the UI warns her that the device isn't compliant, so maybe she wants to think twice about connecting to it and entering passcodes and so on. So next, Susan is going to go back to her list of devices, and this time let's look at the device that is compliant. We're going to click on this device, start a new remote assistance session, and you'll see that Susan gets these three different options to choose from. Susan has just issued a couple of new devices to the store, and she wants to go over their setup with Katie, the store manager, before these devices are distributed to the store associates. So Susan is on the phone with Katie, and she's going to initiate a request for full control in the admin console. On the device, Katie is going to see a prompt that shows Susan's UPN and a request for full control, with a reminder to close anything that you don't want the other person to see. Now, Katie doesn't really want Susan to see the search that she was doing about paintbrushes, so she's going to decline this first request so that she can close edge on the device. On the admin console, Susan sees that Katie has declined the request, so she's just going to wait until Katie confirms on the phone that she's ready, and then try again. Now the prompt is going to show up again on the device, and this time Katie is going to hit accept. And on the admin console, we can see now that we are connecting to the device. Now I'm just going to quit out of the Manage Home Screen kiosk really quickly to show you the different controls in the interface. Now on the top left here, it tells you which mode you're in, so screen sharing, full control, or unattended control. On the right, we have our soft buttons, back, home, and overview. And if you're not familiar with Android devices, typically the overview button just shows a list of all the apps that have been running. You'll also notice that although the buttons on the device are actually in the reverse order of what is being shown in the control UI, they perform as we expect because we're mapping these to the actual inputs and not pixel positions. Next, we have the volume down and volume up buttons, and these kind of do what you would expect, decrease or increase the volume on the device. Finally, we have the power button, which on most Android devices is going to be a button that is located on the side of the device. And when you do a short click, that typically turns the screen off. Now, if you press and hold, depending on the device model and the manufacturer, you might see a slightly different behavior, such as a restart device action. But this will work just the same as if you push the physical button on the side of the device. Finally, on the right, we have a leave button, and clicking that will simply leave the session and close the app in the console as well as on the device. But we are not going to close this session just yet. So let's go back to Katie and the Manage Home screen again and look at a couple of more ways that you can interact with the device. So I'm going to open my demo warehouse app here, and you can see that we can swipe on the screen. We can tap on things. We can also perform keyboard input. So while she has Susan on the phone, Katie has a question about something else. And Susan wants to show Katie what an Ethernet cable looks like so that Katie can plug it back into the wall. So she's just going to open up Edge right on Katie's device and search for an image of a Cat6 cable. And I'm just going to bring my keyboard in here. You can see that I'm actually typing on the computer keyboard, and the input is mirrored on the Android device. So interacting with the device from the admin console just really feels natural and mirrors all the standard behaviors that you would have on the Android device. So let's quit this session and do something else and look at unattended sessions. So one of the employees at the store has sent over an email saying that this device isn't connecting to a Bluetooth label printer. Susan wants to remotely access the device while it's in the charging dock during a scheduled maintenance window. This way she can take control of the device, address the issue while it continues to charge, and the next day the associate can come back and start to use it again. So in the admin console, she's going to start a new remote assistance session. This time choose to initiate unattended control. And you'll notice that this time it says it's connecting to the device, but we don't actually need there to be a person on the other end to accept the request. Instead, In this case, the session will automatically begin after a certain timeout duration. And the reason for the timeout is just to give the person on the other end a chance to back out, just in case it isn't really an unattended session and they weren't expecting this request for control to come in. So now this session has begun, and what we are looking at is exactly what you would expect, a black screen, because the device is locked and it's sitting in a back room in the charging dock. But there's nothing to worry about. We can just turn the screen on and unlock the device from our end. So we're going to go and click on the home button here, and that will turn the screen on. Let's just take a look at what's going on with the Bluetooth settings. And it looks like someone has accidentally turned that off, so we can just fix that switch. And it looks like everything is good to go. So we can close this settings menu by once again clicking on the floating home button. Turn the screen off. And end the session. Now, there are a couple of ways that we can do this. So on the device itself, we can end the session by using the floating button that indicates the session is in progress. In some cases on the device, you can also end it from a notification. I can't show that to you right now because I have the Manage Home Screen kiosk configured to disable the notification shade. But not to worry, there's always the admin console option as well, where you can simply click leave and end the session. And now you can see that on the device, the floating button is gone and the help session has ended.
Lastly, I'll be going over the key features and experiences for macOS Remote Help, which was released very recently. macOS support for Remote Help is a web app for both the helper and the sharer that provides attended screen share connection. The helper launches the session from Intune on their device, and they're able to send the link to the sharer that takes them directly to the session, which bypasses the need for exchanging session codes. We support both unenrolled and enrolled devices. For unenrolled devices, there are dedicated URLs for the helper and the sharer to navigate to start a session. We also have device non-compliance warnings, RBAC control, and session reporting history, as well as audit logs in Intune, which is the same as the other platforms. There's also conditional access support and the chat experience as well. Here's a demo of what Remote Help for macOS looks like today.
Remote Help allows your help desk to have secure access to devices in your organization no matter where they are. And now, we are happy to announce that we are adding support for Mac as well. This initial release will include view-only support between a helper and a sharer. In this demo, we will show you just how easy it is to help guide a user through addressing an issue on a Mac device. In this scenario, Adele is having issues where she is non-compliant on her Mac device. She has contacted the help desk, and Megan determines that she needs to remotely control Adele's device to troubleshoot the issue. Megan goes to the Intune admin console and finds Adele's device. She clicks New Remote Assistant Session, selects Remote Help, Megan then copies the session link to share with Adele. When Adele clicks the link she received from Megan, her browser opens and joins her to the session. Megan clicks Start and joins the session as well.
Thanks so much for joining today's technical takeoff session on remote help. If you want more information, you can check out our public documentation online.